Hello, I'm Katasar, and today I'm going to be explaining the any percent speedrun of Goosebumps Horrorland. I'm doing a commentary for marathon submissions. Goosebumps Horrorland was made by Gusto Games as a tie-in to the Goosebumps books in 2008, and so you'll notice here on the file select I have two preloaded save files. However, I'm going to, because this having a preloaded save file here basically skips the opening cutscene. However, I do want to show the opening cutscene here, so I can explain how this game's gonna go. You can play as either character in this game; it really doesn't matter. So this game's basically similar to any of the carnival mini games that you've seen on the Wii and other consoles. Basically, it's like that. There's 5 different themed areas, and there's 6 mini games per area. So that's a total of 30 mini games. But we only do about a half of them in the any percent route. So as you see here on my splits, we're gonna go through the game as fast as possible. Basically, every time you complete a minigame or a ride, you can get a fright. So like bronze, silver, and gold, and they're called frights. And basically, it's how you progress through the game. As we go on, you'll see that certain minigames have certain fright restrictions, etc. We're also going to be keeping track of our token counter, because tokens are basically the currency in the game. That's how we're going to get to the different minigames. And yeah, we have to visit every single area in the any percent run, because the main task in this game is to get all 5 of your ticket pieces. As you see here in this cutscene coming up, our ticket piece is going to be ripped up, and we're going to have to get all the pieces of our ticket in order to escape the park and beat the game. So, not much to say. We're just going to wait to get into this. Time starts when we start moving from the starting point after this cutscene. So, and time ends when we beat the last minigame. So starting off here, we're going to get 20 tokens. Tokens aren't really that big of an issue throughout the run, if you know where the tokens are located. So we're going to start off at Bumper Carnage, which is basically a bumper car minigame that has a lot of RNG. So we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to be attempting the optimal route here. So we'll see how fast we can beat the game. So we're going to get 20 tokens. And we're ready to start. So starting out here, I'm actually going to go into the menu and disable the autosave feature, because the autosaves throughout this game actually lose quite a bit of time, and the autosave setting defaults to yes. So we're going to disable the autosave. And time starts when we start moving, so let's go. So the first minigame starting out here, as I said before, is Bumper Carnage, which is probably the most RNG heavy minigame in the run, but we'll see how this goes. You'll see there's many different ways to approach this minigame. Also, considering this game is an early title for the Nintendo Wii, there's a lot of motion controls, and some of them are much better than others, I can say that. See, we're just trying to eliminate everybody. As I mentioned before, the fright system in this game, bronze, silver, and gold, you get them on every single minigame. It's like the how you progress through the game, basically. We're going to try and get the gold on every minigame, because it speeds up the fright counter, and you don't want to get any silvers or bronze in a speedrun setting. I'm getting actually not bad RNG here. Also, you'll notice there that I exited the minigame before the actual, like, the end of the minigame came up. That saves a few seconds in almost every minigame, so we're going to try and exit from minigames quickly. But that was a decent bumper carnage. You could end up losing a lot of time there. Oh, it looks like. Wait a second. There we go. Anyway, see, I'm collecting tokens. I already have 38 tokens there. They're just, as I said, the currency of the game. You'll notice here. So, in Dead Ringer, this is another standard carnival minigame. We're going to try and time the A press so we get the gold here. And you notice there I exited the minigame quickly once again. That's so we can save some time. And when you exit minigames quickly, you have to see the gold fright, except for in Dead Ringer, because in Dead Ringer there's an audio cue that lets you know if you got the gold or not. See, I exited early, but I still got the 3 frights, as you see in the bottom left for that minigame. And as I said, we're going to get gold on all the minigames, hopefully. This is Wheel of Misfortune. As we go through this game, you'll notice that a lot of these minigames get reused, just with different theming and increased level of difficulty most of the time. But here in Wheel of Misfortune, the gold is 700 points, and the fastest way to get that is 1 100 and 2 300s, because the 100 appears quicker than the 300. So getting exactly 700 is about a few seconds faster than getting 3 300s. So that's why we're doing this. And there we go. And as you see here, we can't exit early from this minigame, so I'm going to split there. Now the next minigame coming up is Horrorland Derby. This is a like a skee ball type game. We're gonna hopefully the motion controls will cooperate and we can get past it. The motion controls play a big factor in this game. However, there is a PS2 edition of this game that does not have any motion controls. So if you're looking into speedrunning this game, consider that if you're trying to decide which console to run it on. But this minigame is really just about trying to move quickly. Well, we're going to try and move quickly in all the minigames, of course, in the speedrun, but this is really trying to get 50s and 20s and jumping at the right time coming up here. This actually isn't going that bad. This is a decent Horrorland Derby. So I'm just trying to get as many points as possible to move as quickly as possible. See, I had a slight pause there, but we did decent there, and we're going to exit early, of course. Now, the route in this game has changed a few times, actually. So we're going to be following this specific route, and it takes us to all the areas of the park. So we're going to try and we're trying to save up our fright counter to 60, because once we get 60 frights, we can essentially beat the game if we get all the ticket pieces, which the ticket pieces come up a bit later. So right now we're just trying to get frights so we can unlock the next area in the game. So this minigame right here, Monster Mash, is essentially an auto-scroller. The first auto-scroller of the run. And basically, you need 1,500 points to get the gold. But it's pretty easy. See, we're getting tokens here too. Like, as you notice, you can get easily like 4,000 points here, but the gold's only 1,500, so this is just the first auto-scroller. So when we enter our next area, Vampire Village, there is going to be a roller coaster where there is a little girl named Gigi that's trapped on the ride, and we're gonna have to save her. And basically, she's gonna help us find the ticket pieces in order to escape the park. And once we get all the pieces of our ticket that got ripped up at the start of the game, we can finish the run, beat the game. And that's going to be in the next area of the run, so coming up shortly. Oh, see, I lost points there, but again, I'm already at 1200 and there's still 40 seconds left, so we aren't doing too bad. Yeah, getting the gold here isn't that challenging, but as we go on, as I said, the mini games tend to get reused every once in a while, but the difficulty definitely increases. And there's always extra challenge as the areas go on here throughout the run. So, as you see, we got through that fairly quickly. So there's another mini game here in Carnival of Screams. It's the first area we're in right now, called Calamity Canyon, but it got routed out for a faster mini game. So we're just gonna go right to a Vampire Village right now. And there is a cutscene here, first cutscene of the run. Something interesting about the cutscenes in this game, the PS2 edition actually has the ability to skip cutscenes, but in the Wii edition, we can't skip the cutscenes for some reason. So that's why there's different categories depending on what you want to run this game on. So this is the second area of the run. We're going to be doing almost every minigame here, except for Coffin Cruise there on the right. But here's the first cutscene of the run.
Looks like you made the fright restriction. No more kiddie rides for you.
Maybe we should head back to Calamity Canyon. Are you kidding? Don't freak out on me. Nate, wait up. This is so fake. It's all plastic. I want your blood.
So right here at the start of the second area of the run, our friend Nate is going to disappear for some reason. But now we're going to head to the first minigame of Vampire Village, which is Garlic Crusher, which is... oh, there's my nunchuck. Okay. Sometimes that happens with the nunchuck controller in this game, I don't know why. Also, you see the vampire telephones there, which are definitely required to speedrun this game. But here's Garlic Crusher, which is a very similar concept to Monster Mash, as you'll see, but it is slightly more difficult, and we can exit once we get the gold, so it goes a bit faster, but it's a very similar concept here. There is a monster card here. So monster cards are basically like extra collectibles in the game. They're just extra, so they're not needed in an any percent run, but in 100% you have to collect them. There's basically extra challenges throughout the game, but there is one here to hit 6 of the bats at the top of the screen. But in any percent, of course, we don't want the monster card, but hitting the bats is more points, so we want to hit all of them throughout this mini game here. We're going to try and get to 100,000 points for gold, so we just got bronze. And we're going to try and keep our multiplier at the top left of the screen as well, so we can get the most points quickly. There's silver. You can actually get combos for hitting the vampires, like twice in a row there. Oh, I lost the multiplier, that's annoying. But I don't think that's going to lose us that much time. See, I got the monster card there for hitting all the bats. I'm really losing time here. And we exit as soon as we get the gold. So our next minigame coming up here is Batting Cage. Batting Cage is basically it's a unique minigame for this run at the start of the run. It's going to be reused later, but this is the first concept. Basically, we're going to try and get all these bats and get a certain point total in order to get gold, so this should be interesting. Of course, we're collecting tokens. As you notice here, I have 115 tokens, and I only start getting 1 token for everything that I click on throughout the park, so.
Batting cage. Step play ball. Here comes the first bat. Get ready to swing.
As you notice, that bat there gave me 1,500 points, but sometimes they give you 1,000 points depending on your timing. We're going to try and get as many 1,500 points as possible here.
I have a bad feeling about this.
See, I got 1,000 there. Doesn't lose that much time, but it's just a little time save here in a minigame like this. We're going to try and get 40,000 points. See, we got a monster card there. Again, monster cards aren't really relevant to the any percent route, but they still are interesting. All the covers of the monster cards, they actually have like info on them, so they're like collectibles, and they're covers of Goosebumps books. So, yeah, we got the silver there. We're almost at the gold. We used to think it was RNG as to how many points you got for each bat you hit here, but I think we're pretty sure it's the timing of how the minigame works, basically. There we go. So our next minigame here is Flash Fright, which is actually one of the like scarier minigames in this run, but it's really easy in a speedrun because we can abuse the game's mechanic because it's surprisingly difficult to get gold here casually, but we can abuse the game's mechanic. So, as you see here, enter the minigame, and we're going to stall this first vampire for the entire timer. Usually, when you play this casually, of course you'd kill the vampires immediately. However, from a speedrunning stance, we can see that no extra vampires spawn on top of the other vampires until you kill the first 2. So we're just going to stall the first vampire. And this actually saves a lot of time because the minigame doesn't end when the clock hits 0. It actually ends when you kill the last vampire. Because gold isn't surviving the whole time, it's just killing all the vampires basically. So we can save a lot of time here by immediately ending the minigame when the clock hits 0. So that's where the time save here is. We're just about to get the bronze. But this is actually a surprisingly difficult minigame casually, but in a speedrun we can basically skip the entire thing. We're about to get the silver now. We're just stalling this first vampire. Now when the clock hits about 4 seconds, we're going to start killing this vampire. And hopefully another one doesn't spawn in. If another one spawns in, we lose a lot of time. So we're gonna try and time this correctly. So I'm gonna wait here one more time. Now we're gonna wait. Hopefully I timed it right. Yes, there we go. And that's gold. So now we're gonna go to the roller coaster there in the center of the map. And basically there's a cutscene here that plays, and we're gonna try and rescue Gigi, which is a little girl trapped on the ride. We're gonna try and rescue her. And basically, once we get the gold, we get another cutscene, and that's basically where the plot of the game comes in, and the concept of collecting ticket pieces. So, and that's gonna have us go to all 5 areas of the park. Well, also we have to collect enough frights to keep going. So, we'll see how the rest of this plays out. There's a long walk here to Roller Coaster, actually. You can actually click on this sign. Anyway, so now we're gonna see this cutscene here and get on the roller coaster, which is the first minigame in the run that we have to do to beat the game. Of course, there's 30 minigames, but there's only 3 that we actually have to do to beat the game. And this is one of them. We're gonna spam through that dialogue to save time, and now we're on the roller coaster. We're gonna try and save Gigi on the ride. This is kind of like a dark ride, but we're gonna try and get 80,000 points to get gold, which isn't too difficult. But you'll notice there's a lot of targets here in the ride. This is definitely where there is a spike in difficulty in the minigames after this one. When you try and get the gold quickly, of course. Because casually, I mean, they can still be difficult, but when you're trying to get gold in a quick amount of time, they can be. Some of these minigames can be definitely difficult, considering the motion controls and the RNG necessary to be fast enough in a speedrun. We're gonna get through this right here. Now these are what we call the impossible bats, because we've never seen anybody hit both of those bats on the ceiling. Because they're basically, their hitboxes are interesting. But anyway, as you notice here, we're just gonna try and get 80,000 points. This is another auto-scroller in the run, but again, we have to do this ride to beat the game, so... As you notice there, this is also the first minigame, or ride in the run, with a screamo-meter in the bottom right-hand corner. Basically, if that goes all the way to the right, the ride ends, and we have to start over. In a speedrun, it's not that big of a deal, especially in a ride like this. And as you notice, the screamo meter's all the way to the left, so we're doing pretty good. But that's just another little concept right down there. This isn't quite the end of the ride. Notice we're hitting many targets here, and we already have 90,000, so we're doing pretty good. There's a wall of bats here. We're gonna try and get all of them. I think the highest score I've gotten here is like 125,000. So the gold here isn't too difficult, but as we see here, most of the mini games we have throughout the rest of the speedrun start to get more difficult, especially in the next area, Fever Swamp, which is where the third ticket piece is. And we will find out about ticket pieces after this ride. And there's a cutscene coming up. And there's definitely optimization in this speedrun. However, the current world record is a hour 4:26 by me, but a hour 2 is the sum of best currently with the current strats. So this game definitely has some improvement in the speedrun setting. So now we're gonna watch the next cutscene of the run. We're gonna learn about ticket pieces. Let me see one quick. Okay. So now we're gonna do the last minigame in Vampire Village after this cutscene, and then we're gonna start getting ticket pieces. Of course, we need ticket pieces in order to beat the game. And Gigi's gonna help us find these ticket pieces. So now, we're gonna watch this cutscene. And those are monster police. They come up a bit later, but they're gonna try and stop us from getting the ticket pieces.
Now where are we supposed to go?
I know a hiding place. The cursed carriage in Vampire Village. Meet me there.
Wait, who are you?
I'm Gigi, of course.
Okay. So now we're gonna go to Putt Cemetery, which is the first of 2 golf minigames in the run. The other being in the last area, which is another minigame we have to play to beat the game. So, but this one isn't too difficult, but it can be difficult to optimize, as you see here, which we'll start to see in some of these minigames. It can be quite difficult to optimize them, especially a minigame like this, because there's no in-game timer. But there we go.
All in one.
The lowest number of shots possible here is 5 total, but it's ridiculously difficult, and I've only got it once. So we're going to try and go for like 6 or 7 shots total, maybe 8, depending on how these go. You can get that in 2 right there, but we didn't get it right there, so we're going to have to get it in 3. Not much time loss. But here we go. This is hole 3. This is probably the most difficult. You can actually get this in 2 shots though, but it is very difficult. You can try and get that up there. And there we go. Wasn't that bad. There we go.
Sweet.
7. Not bad. So now we're going to go back to Gigi. So Gigi's going to be in the cursed carriage in Vampire Village, and we're going to try and get the first ticket piece. The ticket pieces are hidden throughout the park, and we need to get 5 of them total, one in each of the areas. We're going to start with Vampire Village. And in Vampire Village, there are no monster police hidden here. But in the other areas, we'll start to see monster police that we're going to have to run past in order to get ticket pieces. So we're gonna get Gigi here, because you have to have Gigi to get the ticket pieces. Of course, I know where all the ticket pieces are located for this speedrun. And the first one is actually up here a little ways. in a well in Vampire Village. So I'll get this real quick. As you see here, we can't go on minigames or rides with Gigi.
When we run, it's hard
We can
to
only
see
get
the
ticket
light.
pieces.
The ticket! Look in the well.
There we go. So now we're going to go get the Carnival of Screams ticket piece.
Find me when you're ready
And our
to
first encounter with Monster Police. There's a set number of Monster Police in the game that you're supposed to pinch, and that's how you get past them. However, in a speedrun, of course, we can just run past them to save time. So there's some interesting strategy there, because
Do you wanna
originally in the speedruns of this game, we used to have to kill multiple Monster Police, but now we can get past without with just running past all of them. So I'm gonna go get the second ticket piece now. And the third ticket piece is going to be in the next new area, which is Fever Swamp. Okay, we're going to get some dialogue here, but we're just going to skip through it. And we're just going to run past the Monster Police like they don't even exist.
He saw us!
This one's a bit more difficult to get past, but it's not that much of a challenge. And the next piece of the ticket is hidden in this train right here. There we go.
In the train's smokestack. You did it!
So now we're going to go to the next area of the park, Fever Swamp,
Ready to look for the next
which has some of the most difficult mini-games of the entire speedrun. But we'll see how it goes. Now tokens are going to become a bit more of importance here towards the end of the run. We're going to have 100 in order to get a mask for one of the ticket pieces. So we're going to try and keep track of our token counter as this run goes on. We're going to go back to Vampire Village. As you see, the Vampire Village is kind of the center of the entire game. It connects all the other areas together. And that's where Gigi is located. So we're going to be coming back to Vampire Village a lot, even though we've done all the mini games here. But now we're going to go to Fever Swamp, which is the next area of the run.
piece of the ticket is somewhere.
And again, it has very difficult mini games, but the ticket piece isn't too bad. There's only one Monster Police we really need to worry about here. But a lot of the minigames here in Fever Swamp are difficult because of the motion controls. As you'll notice, a lot of them have poor motion controls, like Swamp Stomp there on the right and Tilt-A-Web. But we're going to try and get past this first Monster Police with some unique routing. We're going to run a certain direction in order to skip a cycle. So if we go this way, the Monster Police isn't an issue. As you notice, the Great Gargantua show has been cancelled. There's another interesting part of the plot that's going on. So, not really that important for a speedrun, but I mean, as you notice, as the game goes on, more references like that. But now we're going to get this ticket piece. And then we're going to go to the next minigame, which is a motion control nightmare. But there is a lot of time saved there, so.
Under that angle. I see it. You did it. I'm going back to my hiding place. Come find me when you're ready to look for the next piece of the ticket.
So this is Rub-a-Dub Slug. And as I said, this is very motion control heavy, as you'll see here. We're going to try and fill all of the holes here. And there's going to be stench worms, see, that we are going to have to deal with. But they're not that big of a problem in a speedrun setting. Alright, not bad. And we get a monster card for getting the gold there, so that's pretty interesting. So now we're going to go to Tilt-A-Web, which is like Wheel of Misfortune, but it's much more difficult. Because you have to get 900 points on 3 tries, so that's a 300 every single round, and the 300 mark here is much more difficult than Wheel of Misfortune. So we're going to see how this goes. Fever Swamp is definitely a run killer. A lot of runs die here. But again, there is much time to save here. Because games like Tilt-A-Web can take multiple tries. If you can't get 900 points, we'll see what happens here. As you notice, the 300 slot is very small there. There's one. Gotta get 2 more 300s. There's 2. And there's the last one. So that's a perfect Tilt-A-Web. See, it's a fairly quick minigame if you get it first try, but it can drag on if you can't get 900 quickly. So now we're going to go to Anchors Away, which is like Dead Ringer, but it's horizontal instead of vertical. So it's probably the easiest of the minigames here in Swamp, in Fever Swamp. We'll see how this goes. Not as difficult as Dead Ringer. There we go. That's a gold. I'm actually going to see how this run's doing. We're only about 20 seconds off record. So we're doing pretty good. But now we're going to go to Swamp Stomp, which is hands down the most difficult minigame in the entire run. And I may not do it in a race or a marathon setting, but it just depends. But it takes a lot of focus here, so basically the motion controls do rarely do they cooperate, and a lot of runs die here because this is part of the optimal route. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to try and run at the right speed here. And try and not get any warnings whatsoever to get gold. Just a lot of focus. There we go. That's the most difficult minigame in the entire run, and we just got it. So there we go. So now we're going to go back to Gigi and get the fourth piece of the ticket, which is definitely the most complicated. We're going to go to the next area of the park, Mad Labs there. And second to last area, we're going to go to a horrors only area. And we're going to trigger a series of dialogue, and we're going to go buy a horror mask. And it's basically a haunted mask reference if you've ever read the Goosebumps book. Basically, we're going to turn into a horror in order to sneak into the secret areas to get the ticket piece. So it's definitely the most complicated ticket piece. But that's going to be here in the next area. But we have to head back to Gigi in order to get the ticket piece. Again, the vampire telephone's there. Or vampire payphones, I should say. Anyway, I'm going to go back for the next piece of the ticket.
The next piece of the ticket is hidden in Mad Labs.
And the horror mask that we need to buy to get the ticket piece is 100 tokens, so I'm watching the token counter very carefully here, making sure we have enough.
We're not close yet, but don't give up.
So here we are, Mad Labs, the second to last area in the park. We're going to be doing most of the mini games here and getting a ticket piece. Mad Labs is definitely, in my opinion, the best themed area, and probably the best mini games as well. So,
Be careful.
Stop right there.
gonna run past that monster police.
He saw us. I'm right behind you. Come out, be careful. The monster police are nearby.
We have to wait there a little bit, and now we're gonna have a cutscene where Nate's gonna come back.
Gotcha! What happened to you? Where have you been? The coffin in Vampire Village had a
So now we're gonna go to the horrors only area and get some dialogue from Gigi and do a few Mad Labs mini games.
We're getting close.
So the ticket is hidden behind that door, and we need to go get the mask in order to get to the ticket piece. But now we're going to do Buzzwire, which is a new minigame to the run. It gets reused a bit later, but this is kind of an interesting minigame concept here. Motion controls aren't that great, but it's whatever. Sometimes you just have to take a hit like that in order to move the loop better. Now, there we go. About 15-20 seconds off my PB, so this is a pretty good run. So now we're going to go to Brain Drain, which is very similar to Flash Fright. We're going to use the same strategy we used for Flash Fright when we stall one of the enemies in order to save time.
Welcome to Mad Labs. Our team of mad scientists have put together an electrifying...
One, two.
So we're going to stall here in order to prevent more of the enemies spawning here. There's actually a monster card here where you have to collect 10 tokens, and it's surprisingly difficult with the motion controls. So we gotta get that one, And we're going to stall the second enemy here as well. So it works very similar to Flash Fright, but not exactly the same, because we can't stall for the entire length of the clock, but it does help with the enemy patterns here, and it saves a bit of time, so it makes gold much easier. So now we're just gonna kill these enemies as they come, collecting tokens, making sure we have enough tokens for the mask coming up. Tokens aren't necessary, but they're kind of just a swag strat, essentially. But as more of these guys spawn in, it gets more difficult to get the tokens, which is why the monster card of getting 10 of them is so difficult. But I actually have a video where I get 16 tokens here, so it's definitely not impossible. But we're almost done with this minigame, and this is very easy because of the stalling we did at the start, so... And there we go. Got a slow spawn there, but there we go. Gold. So now we're gonna go to the last two mini games in this area, starting with Toxic Gunk Dunk, which is a pretty easy mini game, but it is possible to mess up. It's an aiming type mini game, so. Again, making sure we have enough tokens here. Now it's time for Toxic Gunk Dunk. Basically, the way this game works, you can miss 2 of these targets and still get gold because it's based on the timer. If you fill the meter on the left with 25 seconds or more, then you get gold. There we go. So now it's time for Shock and Roll, which is a bumper car minigame similar to Bumper Carnage, but with much more RNG, so we'll see how this goes. Okay. So this is very RNG heavy. I could lose 2 minutes here or save a minute here, so we'll see. I'm gonna focus here. There we go. So this wasn't optimal, but it wasn't bad either. There we go. Let's see how this compares. Yeah, I lost a lot of time there. So this can't PB anymore, but still a decent run. So now we're going to go get the mask we need to get the ticket piece. And there's going to be a cutscene coming up. Okay. So it's gonna take 100 tokens here, so you can actually lose a lot of time there if you don't have 100 tokens. Because, I mean, there's not that many tokens in Mad Labs, and
It almost feels like
it can be difficult. So we're gonna get this mask here.
Very lifelike.
Basically a haunted mask reference if you've ever read the books.
Hey, what's happening? I can't get this. Oh, I feel funny. What's happening? What is this? Oh no!
Nice costume.
It's gonna take all of our tokens. And we can't collect tokens in this mode here, because when we're a horror, we can't collect tokens or enter mini games. So, just kind of an interesting part of the game. The running speed is a bit slower than when you're the normal player, but it's not by much. There is a walk feature in this game, as you see there, but of course in a speedrun we don't want to be walking. And with the horror, it's very slow.
Attention Horrorland guests. Please be on the lookout for a small girl in a blue dress carrying a monster doll. She is extremely dangerous. If you see her, do not attempt to approach her. Notify Horrorland security.
The announcer there is referring to Gigi, even though it's a mistake. It says it's Gigi's wearing a blue dress when she wears a pink dress. But yeah, the announcer there is probably one of the most interesting parts of the game, and she's referring to Gigi, and that we shouldn't be talking to Gigi throughout this game because the staff of Horrorland are trying to contain her for some reason. Because, spoiler alert, Gigi is the Great Gargantua. That's the twist ending in this game. So the park employees are trying to keep Gigi right there under control. But the ticket piece here is up here on the right. And we're going to get another cutscene. And we can collect tokens in here for some reason. Okay, there we go.
Stop right there! I know who you are, imposter! Just as I expected. And where do you think you're going?
I'm getting out of Horrorland. This place is nuts.
Don't make me laugh.
Okay,
You're evil.
so how does this run compare?
What's so bad about that?
Yeah, we're
You came here to be
losing a lot of time here, but it's fine.
see your nightmares come to life. You'd look
I don't know why I'm
deadly
losing
as a
so much time here, though.
flying
Oh, I missed the split.
Don't you think?
Wait, I'm just gonna skip that.
Eat my dust.
There we go. So now we're going to go back to Gigi, but we're going to get a interesting cutscene before we enter the last area of the park, which is Terror Tombs, and from there we can beat the game. So of course we got to head back to Vampire Village. It's the center of the game. We're going to go see what Gigi has to say. Okay. So this cutscene here is going to be pretty interesting. We're going to get a letter from Gigi saying that she's been caught by the monster police, and that in order to beat the game, we need to get the gold on Pharaoh's Fairways in Terror Tombs, which is 60 frights, and we have 51 or 54 right now. So we're going to have to beat that minigame and get the gold to beat the game. So this is towards the end of the run here, and we get this cutscene.
I got it. I got another piece of the ticket.
They got me. Come to Terror Tombs. Get the gold on Pharaoh's Fairways to find the last piece of the ticket. Gigi.
Okay, oh, forgot to split. Okay, time for Terror Tombs. So the minigames here aren't that difficult, except for Pharaoh's Fairways, maybe. But we're going to try and beat the game. This is the last minigames of the run. And there's an interesting glitch here in Terror Tombs. Well, there's two. Where we can go through the walls. Basically out of bounds glitches, but only one of them is fast in the any percent routing. But the second one is fast in 100%. So in 100% you get to do both. And the routing here has changed a lot over time, because you're trying to finish off the frights that you need to beat the game. So this is Mummy Run, which is very similar to Horrorland Derby. Okay. Could be considered easier, but I don't know. See, we're gonna be chased by that mummy there. Now we gotta jump. This is a consistent strat where we get the 20s and the 50s a little every once in a while to progress here. Every time we make a jump, we get a new fright, so we're gonna get the silver here. And in order to get gold, we have to escape the tomb here. There we go. That's Mummy Run. Time for Snakes on a Chain, which is going to be like Buzzwire, but a lot more difficult. And then from there we can get to Pharaoh's Fairways and beat the game. Sub-hour isn't possible in this game yet, but it could potentially happen if the right amount of the right amount of strats are found and there's enough time saved. Because right now a low 102 is the human sum of best. So we need about 2.5 minutes of time save in order to get a sub-hour run, which isn't possible yet, but could in the future. So now, Snakes on a Chain. There's actually a glitch here where you can go off the wire. It's like Buzzwire. You can go off the chain here, but it's kind of difficult and doesn't save that much time.
Snakes on a chain.
There's actually a monster card here. But again, they don't really matter in the any percent run. And there we go. So now we're going to come up on the Terror Tombs clip, which is one of the most interesting parts of this route. We're going to clip through a wall and skip about 10 seconds of walking. Let me see if I can get it. There we go. Oh, I missed it. It's very difficult to hit this optimally. Come on. So now I'm just losing time, but it's not that big of a deal. There we go. See, we went through that entire wall, and if you get it first try, it saves about 10-15 seconds. There's also another clip on this wall here, but again, it doesn't save any time. Look. See, there's a glitch there. But it saves about 30 seconds in the 100% run. But now it's Ferris Fairways, which is like Putt Cemetery. I've lost a lot of runs here before, because it is surprisingly difficult to try and get this quickly. It's much more difficult than Putt Cemetery.
Yeah.
So the same concept as Putt Cemetery, but just slightly different formatting and theme, and much more difficult. We're just hitting an hour now. There's about 5 minutes left of gameplay in the entire game. So sub-hour may happen, but not in the near future. Again, the current world record is a 104.26 by me. And right now I'm doing attempts for the first 103. But a 102 is definitely possible. But after that, with the current strats, there's most likely not much more time saved after that. But then again, you never know. Sub-hour may happen someday. There we go. So this is a trick here we call invisible wall, where we have to get a very precise golf shot here in order to hit an invisible wall. And there's a few setups, so you can try that. There we go. So it's not really an invisible wall with setups like that, but it's a very difficult shot. This is almost the end of it. This is going to be a mid or a low hour 5. So we're about a minute off the record, which honestly isn't that bad. There we go. Here's the final cutscene of the game, or the last one before the end of the run. We golded that split. So this will be a low hour 5.
Hey,
So now we're going to do the final ride in the game called Certain Death. Basically, it's a Screamometer ride where it is actually kind of difficult, but it is an auto-scroller, so we'll see how this goes.
How do you feel?
Is that a trick question?
Silence! It's your last ride. Don't forget to have fun.
Okay, so Certain Death here. We're going to have to do 2 laps on this roller coaster in order to get gold. So here we go. And the Screamometer is definitely more aggressive here compared to some other rides in this game. So we're going to try and get these health pickups in order to make sure we don't die. Because I actually have lost a few runs to this. And the optimal route here is right, left. So we're almost done with the first lap here. And once the second lap ends, we can get the gold and finish the game. Gonna get the optimal route here, right, left. Saves about 10 seconds total. And then once the second lap ends, we can beat the game. Time ends when the gold appears in the bottom left. Okay, we're getting to the hour 5-minute mark. There we go. Hour 5:14. That is a really good run for a no reset. So yeah, that's Goosebumps Horrorland. That's the any percent speedrun. So this is the final cutscene here with the twist ending. So yeah, that's Goosebumps Horrorland. I hope you enjoyed watching my marathon submission commentary for Goosebumps Horrorland. I'm gonna let this cutscene play out, and yeah. If you have any questions about this game or are interested in running it, check out the Discord. I'm gonna link it in the description below, as well as the leaderboards for this game on speedrun.com. So yeah, that's Goosebumps Horrorland.
Oh no. You're the great Gargantua, aren't you?
So much.
And the twist ending here, that Gigi's actually the Great Gargantua. And there we go. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching my run of Goosebumps Horrorland.